back with the leader. He is not rolling away here. He is not running away with it. This is good, though. He's in control. But Didier Thays is right there in the Ferrari. You bring up an interesting point, Jeremy, about Thierry Boots' Porsche. Looks so radical. Then, of course, the factory brought out this car here, which for all intents and purposes is just the epitome of a racing sports car.
Watch the gear change there on the dash. Right in the middle of his dash is his gear indicator. He's in third right now.
Watch him go down the hill. Look at this. Down the hill. Plunges down.
And they're short shifting. As they come up and over the hill, they're short shifting from second to third to fourth to get into fifth gear for the downhill right-hander. They're just short shifting all the way through. And as you go over that hill, the front of the car gets a bit light and flows to the left side of the track.
Calvin Fish in the pit lane has had a good close-up look at these cars all weekend. Calvin?
Well, Derek, just the evolution of the GT cars. I mean, McNish's car is the latest 98 Porsche, and in comparison with the 97 car that Wilson qualified, 2.5 seconds difference in lap time, so that may be an effect throughout the race. Obviously, McNish is out front right now, but we have a very experienced lineup there with Boots and team with Bob Wallach. They both came so close to victory at the 24-hour Le Mans this year, and they're teamed with Ralph Kellners, the German.
Believe it or not, when Porsche built the car that Boutsen is in, you can take off the bonnet and it is a street 911 front clip on that car, because originally the rule designed to say build a racing car that was be modeled on the road car. So Porsche built a racing car basically using a lot of the road car parts that you see on the 911 showroom. And this car that leads now is the second evolution, a bit of a departure obviously from the evolution of that champion car.
Yeah, this is a pretty radical race car, and the FIA GT Championship has really spawned these very radical, very highly technical race cars, and that's what this Porsche is. And it looks like Taze is now starting to close that gap down just marginally.
Didier Thays does close the gap in marginally.
5/10 of a second quicker on that last lap, so now
Wow.
we can visually see that gap coming down as we go on board with Taze coming out of turn 5 and run up to 6.
Now he's right there.
Look at the traffic. Already coming into traffic.
And where you start getting into traffic is where the lighter LMP car is going to be able to have a good advantage, able to get on the car a little bit sooner.
Look at these guys. Look at these guys. They're going to have to split these guys.
Here's the traffic. Here is the traffic. The downhill run. It plunges downhill after turns right here. Watch this. Didier Thays on board the Ferrari. Braking zone. Now remember what Davy Jones said in the on-camera. The GT1 cars probably have to change tires every single pit stop. Maybe not for these open-top sports cars.
And I think we need to clarify that as we do the board traffic on the main straightaway. We need to clarify that.
Look at this. Didier Thays trying to go down the inside. Wow, outside now. Side by side in turn 1.
Okay, the pressure is on now from Taze, but we have to clarify that about the pit stops because we're running under Le Mans rules, which means you cannot fuel and change tires at the same time. So there's a distinct advantage to not changing tires. You save 10 or 12 seconds on each stop. Now this is the essence. This is where McNish can really get caught behind the slower cars. Look at that.
Good move by McNish. That's a great point about the pit stops. We're going to watch that as this race rolls on here. But this traffic is going to hold our interest all afternoon long here. So while Didier Thays continues to put pressure on Alan McNish, we're just going to slip away his first stint.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, Derek. I mean, you have different tire manufacturers. It's a big tire war here between Pirelli, Michelin, Goodyear. That might be one of the reasons why the number 77 Yost Porsche of Alboreto has dropped back and is running in 5th place, just conservatively trying to just maintain his tire life so he won't have to change during this coming up pit stop. He may be able to do a double stint and perhaps to take advantage of the racetrack that way.
That's where this Ferrari is on Yokohama's. They have been very, very strong in the endurance races. They're very cagey about compound selection. They have a vast range of compounds to select from. There you go. There's a little opposite lock leave in turn 7. So Didier is trying to get the power to the ground as he comes out onto the main straightaway.
And at this early stage, to see the driver just saw at the steering wheel and to fight for control of this thing, you 1,000 miles, whichever comes first. Traffic now affects Alan McNish. They move out of the way. They are now between the two of them, almost 15 seconds behind. We're going to drop back now to a 10-hour race. Now, Sebring in the old days of the GTB car, the 12-hour race, was just two drivers. Physically so much more difficult. And a team like the Yost Porsche have a powerhouse team of Alboreto, Stefan Johansson, and Jörg Müller, who's a very big young German driver. Look at the fight here again with Didier Thys. He sees McNish in the Porsche GT1 right about 10 car lengths ahead of him, and that's where it seems to stay. Close up under braking, then the Porsche pulls away again under acceleration. Right behind them, here's the run down the straight. Oh, look at the Porsche pull away under power. Under power, that second, third gear turbocharged boost of power just gives McNish a nice cushion of breathing space. And then Didier Thys closes up in the braking zone.
Traffic, they can dip down into the 15s. McNish actually did a 15 too. Look at this. This is where you really get caught. Oh my God. Hung out to dry on the outside of the S.
That was Ross Bentley with the BMW on the right-hand side. Squeeze, he didn't make it. He didn't make it at the apex. Didier Thys will be right behind him.
Where is Didier Thys? Where is he? This is the kind of situation where you expect him to come streaking
right
by.
There. Right there. Tucked up right behind the rear wing. Now we hear from the pit lane that the factory Porsche team will only change 2 left side tires in this first pit stop, so they realize the challenge from these WSC cars could be mighty, so they'll just change 2 left side tires on Alan McNish's car.
What will be interesting is when Boot hit it to clean out the radiator screen in front. They took on fuel, but they didn't change tires. So it'll be interesting to see how much ahead or advantage they'll have when all the other cars stop.
Right. McNish. Love turn 1. This is a dramatic change for the race because on the back of that truck is the number 26 factory Porsche that has dominated this event, and it has just had an enormous crash, and you will be shocked when you see the video and how simple this accident happened. Jeremy Dale is beside me here in the booth. Jeremy, take us through what happens here.
Well, this is looking very routine. They come around a lap car. That's the 77 car. Now look at, he's tucked underneath the 77 car. Blows it over, and then a big hit into the barrier.
That is an astonishing crash. But wait till you see this in slow-mo replay. Now what we'll do here for you is do a freeze frame also. Jeremy.
Okay, look at how tight he is tucked in. Now keep in mind, they're cresting a hill. He's pulling probably 4th gear, right at the strongest part of 4th or 5th gear here. And you can see now a little bit of air under the front of the car. And now, once it gets to this point, it is gone. There's absolutely nothing he can do. That car is going to blow over, and there's nothing he can do about it.
Takes off like an aeroplane. Dalmas is in the car. Look, he tucks his head forward. He knows he's in for a ride here, but just have a look at the height here, and we'll freeze it again when the car is upside down. Look at this astonishing pictures here. He's 25 feet in the air, completely upside down.
And luckily, the car goes straight. It doesn't really veer off the racetrack too much, and it lands on its tail. So the nose of the car is in pretty good shape. The car lands here, boom, on its tail. Obviously, a bunch of oil here comes out of the car, quick oil fire, and then the car lands and will hit the barrier. Of course, the nose flies off. but just an unbelievable accident. We're going to look at it again in real time, and we'll listen to it because it's just phenomenal. Just listen. Look at that barrier. Yannick Dalmas is okay. You can see him moving in the car there, and he did get out of the car.
He was shell-shocked.
And who wouldn't be shell-shocked?
The director of motorsports, Herbert Ampher, is in the pit lane right now live with Calvin Fish. Calvin.
Well, there's just shock down here in the Porsche pit right now. Herbert, you had a chance to look at the monitor and see what happened. What is your consensus of the incident out there on the track with Yannick?
I think he was too close to the number 77 car and lost all downforce, then top of the hill.
Had you had any indication this weekend? I mean, obviously there's a lot of elevation change at this racetrack. Any problems with the car of that nature?
Absolutely nothing, but this is an aerodynamic car, and if it's too close to another car, for sure it loses downforce. And in combination with the negative acceleration on that hill, he must have lost every let me say, contact with the ground and became an airplane.
Obviously, as you say, just a set of circumstances there is a slight elevation as you come out of turn 7 and got very close to the Yost car, but obviously disappointment in this inaugural Petit Le Mans race to be out right now.
For sure, leading I think almost 6 hours and controlling everything, and then something like that. This is totally disappointing for sure. But first of all, I have to look for my driver. I hope he's okay. I had him on the radio, but we'll see.
We're sorry to see you out. Thanks, guys.
The driver is okay. The Panos team leads. Wayne Taylor in the Ferrari is second. Big update on Pete Hosmer. He has a punctured lung and a broken rib. But all action here at the Premier Petit Le Mans. The inaugural Petit Le Mans started in glorious sunshine, where the quest for success tipped almost immediately toward the factory Porsche GT1 car. As the day went on, there were incidents aplenty, as the drivers pushed themselves and their machines up to and past the limit. At just over halfway, disaster strikes for the dominant car. With Yannick Dalmas at the wheel of the leading Porsche GT1, it backflips into oblivion. But the driver walks away. Fatigue now.